Hi y'all, it's Becky and welcome to my new YouTube channel. I hope you can find a little inspiration here today. Thanks so much for finding me and stopping by. Let's get started. Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. Zechariah 4:10. Since I'm endeavoring to create a video junk journal of my various creative adventures, I thought that my very first journal entry should actually be about journaling itself. And in the spirit of just getting started, I wanted to keep it really simple. Just a spiral notebook and a simple big pen. No need to run to the store for a bunch of supplies. We can do that in future videos, but today, let's just get started with what we have. I've been keeping journals like this for over 20 years now, and I'm so glad that I have a record of the various touchstones in my life, all the way from very mundane things to sketches, all the way to the inspired. I love to write out scripture, and that's what this journal entry is all about. I found through the years that writing out scripture verses is a powerful tool to help me hide the word in my heart, and I often incorporate cute lettering and doodles to help emphasize key words and phrases that jump out at me. So in this video, I'll show you how I decoratively write out a scripture and hopefully give you a bit of inspiration and encouragement to do your own scripture journaling in your own notebook. I found this scripture while looking through an old journal and I love it. I thought it'd be a perfect one to start with. It's from 1 Peter 4:7-10. The end of all things is near. Therefore be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you can pray. And above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others, faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. Okay, so when I journal, I always add the date. So that's what I'm doing here at the top right. And then I'm talking with my hands, which I also do all the time. And I'm sort of planning out where things are going to go. I'm just going to center the verse. It's a lot of words. So in my true fashion, I usually run out of room at the bottom. So I'm trying not to do that. But I still don't really plan. I just eyeball. So I'm writing here the end of all things is near. And I always break up sentences with various types of fonts or lettering styles. This I call conference call because I developed this style of writing on my many conference calls when I worked for a large corporation back in the day. I also use arrows, like I just jotted a little arrow there for emphasis. So the end of all things is near. So I'm writing out the word therefore. And yes, I know that things are cut off on the left. That is part of the imperfection of this video, this just get started video. And it's why I decided not to do it over. It's a long story how this got cut off, but trust me, I wasn't going to do it again. But that's okay. That's all part of just getting started. All right, so therefore be clear-minded. Sometimes even in mid-sentence, I'll change wording styles or lettering styles. That one was in order to save space. I went to a taller, thinner font. So when I was looking at this, I was deciding that I wanted clear-minded and self-controlled to sort of be the emphasis. So I use cursive a lot for just fillers. And it's a space saver too. The main emphasis on this whole section was the word pray. Therefore, be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you can pray. When there's a word I really want to emphasize, I oftentimes use this like decorative capital that I did here, where I just doodle a little flower and then I fill in with black all around it. And then I fill in the rest of the word. That makes it really pop. more talking with my hands as I'm planning the rest. So this part says above all. So I made a little arch and I added a vine through the arch to emphasize the above all. Sometimes I literally do it that way. Above all. Love. What I'm doing there is just shading those letters with a little bit of a gradient. Just keep the lines tighter at the top and get them looser as you go down, and it creates a gradient. Love each other deeply. I wanted to emphasize that part with some little parentheses that I put on the top and bottom. And here I made the word because into an actual arrow because I want to point to the object of the word because. Because love covers over a multitude of sins. This part of the verse is getting a little bit wordy. So I wanted to emphasize the word hospitality, so I put it at an angle with cursive script. I like how that breaks up the line there and emphasizes the word. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. That is classic Becky running out of space action there. So grumbling got a little shorter at the end, but it still had room. And it's perfect for the word grumbling anyway. And sometimes when I have a word at an angle, I also do the following word at an angle to sort of follow that line, at least a little bit, and that's what I did with the word should. Each should use whatever gift he has. The word that's hidden there is the word received. And I think I was literally saying I before E except after C. I always say that on the word received. And here I wanted to emphasize serve others. And by golly, that just needed a doodle. I'll just break out in spontaneous doodling sometimes. And another arrow for some more emphasis. And this is faithfully administering I love using upper and lower case in the same word. I do it all the time. Once again, for emphasis, I wanted to emphasize God's grace. So I did that in script at an angle. We're coming to the very end of the scripture here. In its various forms is what I'm writing there. And then I always add the scripture reference, which is 1 Peter 4, 7 through 10. At this point, oh yeah, you can see, at least for a second, you could see the whole thing. When I looked at it, I realized that the top left was pretty bare, and so I added some doodles up there, some flowers that you can't see. Promise you they're there. A little more underlining. That's how I did it. So here's the entire journal page. I plan to revisit this verse many times this year. It is just so full of wisdom, guidance, and encouragement. And I'm so grateful that you stopped by. I hope that you were encouraged to just start right where you're at with whatever endeavor God's placed on your heart. And as I'm trying to remind myself, do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. Thank you so much for stopping by. I invite you to like and subscribe.